I grew up in a little town most folks would drive right past without even noticing. Back then, I was the kind of kid people laughed at, whispered about, sometimes straight up mocked to my face. "You'll never make it out of here," they'd say, like it was a fact carved in stone. And for a long time, I believed them. I kept my head down, did what I had to, but every smirk, every side eye, every joke at my expense, those things stuck to me like wet clothes I couldn't peel off. I remember one night sitting on the steps outside my mama's house, staring at the flickering streetlight that made the road look lonelier than it really was. I told myself, either you let this town bury you or you crawl out, bloody knuckles and all. That was the first time I felt the fight in me, quiet burning not for show, just for survival. Years later, I thought I'd finally made it. I landed a job at a firm downtown, walking into an office with polished floors and glass doors that reflected every doubt I had in my chest. But the whispers followed me. Different people, same poison. My boss, let's call him Richard, had a smile that cut sharper than any blade. The man loved to remind me of where I came from, dropping lines like, "Try not to bring your small town habits here," or "Don't get too ambitious, kid. This game ain't for everybody." He said it with that little chuckle like he was being fatherly, but the room always knew it was meant to shrink me. And then there was Lindsay, one of those coworkers who walked around like she owned the oxygen. First week, she looked me up and down and said, "Oh, you're the one they hired," like she was trying to figure out if it was a joke. Every day, after she found new ways to chip away, mocking how I talked the shoes I wore, the car I drove. I'd laugh it off, pretend it didn't sting, but inside, man, it burned. One afternoon, Richard called me into the conference room. The whole team was there. He slapped a file on the table and said, "This proposal, your numbers are all wrong. Care to explain why you wasted our time?" My throat went dry. I knew I'd triple-check those numbers. Lindsay leaned back in her chair, smirking, whispering something to the guy next to her, and they both laughed. The walls felt like they were closing in. For a second, I almost apologized, almost shrunk into that corner they'd built for me, until I remembered that night on my mama's steps. That fire, that promise. I cleared my throat, looked Richard dead in the eye and said, "Actually, the numbers are solid. What's wrong is the data you sent me to start with." The room went silent. His smile faltered just a flicker, but I saw it. I pushed the file back toward him. "If you want, I can walk you through it right now, line by line." My voice didn't even shake. For the first time, I wasn't playing small. Lindsay scoffed. "Wow, someone grew a backbone. The old me would have laughed it off." Not that day. I turned to her and said, "Yeah, and it's strong enough to carry all the weight you try to throw at me." She froze, like she didn't expect me to clap back. The room, they weren't laughing anymore. That moment, it was like breaking through the surface after being underwater too long. My chest filled with air I didn't know I was missing. And once you taste that kind of freedom, you don't go back. After that day, I stopped asking for permission to exist in that office. I worked harder, spoke louder, stood taller. People started coming to me for answers, for leadership. Even Richard had to admit grudgingly that I was the one keeping projects alive. And Lindsay, let's just say her smirks got quieter the higher I climbed. But victory doesn't always look like a parade. Sometimes it's just knowing you don't have to flinch anymore when someone doubts you. Sometimes it's walking into a room and realizing the same folks who tried to bury you are now watching, waiting, hoping you'll slip because deep down they know you passed them a long time ago. And here's the thing, I'm not telling you this to paint myself as a hero. I'm telling you because I know somebody watching this right now is where I used to be, drowning in whispers, carrying scars nobody claps for. And I want you to hear me when I say they don't get to write your ending. You do. The fire in you, it's real. Don't smother it just to make someone else comfortable. Now, maybe you're wondering what happened to Richard and Lindsay. Well, Richard retired a few years later, and last I heard, he's spending his days golfing, probably still telling someone they're not cut out for it. Lindsay, she left the company, started over somewhere else. Funny thing is, I don't feel anger toward them anymore. If anything, I'm grateful. Because every sneer, every laugh, every time they tried to crush me, it just sharpened the blade. But let me leave you with this. Was I right to fight back the way I did, calling them out in front of everyone, risking my career? Or should I have kept my head down, climbed quieter, less confrontational? You tell me. Because out here in the real world, the line between standing up for yourself and making enemies is razor thin. So, what do you think? Have you ever been in a room where someone tried to shrink you? Did you fight back or did you walk away? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I'd love to hear how you handled it. And if you have ever felt underestimated, remember this. Sometimes the sweetest victory isn't proving them wrong. It's proving yourself right.